want to talk a little bit about balancing the AI hype with the business value. There has to be business value out of all of this hype. And Ashok, I'll stick with you to start. As artificial intelligence moves from pilot projects to enterprise scale deployments, what strategies are you using to ensure these initiatives deliver measurable business outcomes rather than just technology demonstrations?
So I think if you have seen the recent articles, right, the amount of money or return on investment on those AI project, it's still not been validated, right? So the way how we do that is primarily identify a repetitive task and then try to automate through the AI, etc. Primarily to see that and also we even have something called we call it as an AI pen test, primarily to make sure that the AI agents which we are built is actually not hallucinating and causing problems. And then we give them restricted permission so that they can only do the task which has been designed for. So what I would recommend is that identify the area which you want to automate or you want to improve your process and put some guardrails around that so that they can only do that particular task, right? Right. If you're talking about these new AI robots coming in, you can just train them to just do one task, right? Whether it is cleaning a utensils, right? So you cannot just hack into that and then cause something else to be done, right? So the same context here is when you're building an AI agent that give them the restricted permission so that they can only do that particular task and not anything outside that.
I think that makes a lot of sense, kind of putting the guardrails up as you suggest around these powerful tools so that employees or students, whatever the case may be, remain more focused in how they use that tool. Do you have any insight on how to actually measure the value that comes back from that? Because I think that's a great way to make sure that the focus is kept where the business wants it
Yeah,
when they're
so
using these
primarily,
tools.
yeah, so primarily when we have taken some of the use cases is where you have a customer care, right? So primarily somebody calls you and then asks for some details, etc., right? Rather than having them wait for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? You can ask that to maybe a chat bot, which is going to give that information, right, quickly. So that means, right, so the amount of wait time for a end user can be reduced from 5 minutes to maybe 2 minutes, right? So that's one example. And then the second one is before you even give it to a customer, in person, you can have a bot which can answer some of the questions, right? So that you can do prepare the end user or prepare the one so that the amount of wait time can be reduced drastically. So those are some of the use cases which we have already seen value. And then the other one is that, right, we have seen is that no, if you are a contractor who is reviewing a lot of contracts, right? Um, Instead of you reviewing those contracts, you can actually feed through the AI agent. The AI agent will do and make sure that the customer has filled all those 20 fields which are mandatory, and then right automatically respond back rather than somebody manually looking into it. So it can be used for loan processing documents, or it can be used for any of the legal documents where somebody has to do those 5 places which has to be filled in an automated fashion.
That makes a lot of sense. So I'm hearing business value both in customer satisfaction and lower wait times when it's in the customer support role, and also less hours required from internal staff as AI takes some of the busy work and heavy lifting off the front of some of these processes and transactions. Yeah,
Yes.
that's fantastic. You can then gather both the hard green, dark green dollar benefits and also the brand and reputation benefits if you wanted to for the board in terms of reduced wait times and that sort of thing. I think that's very clever. Kris, what about you? How are you going to ensure that the initiatives deliver measurable business outcomes rather than just being a technology demo?
Yeah, I think, they're, even though we're talking across industries, we're still kind of looking at the same thing. Now, we're not in the business of generating revenue here, but, we do have an outcome that's, instruction of the students that come to school here. Um, but one of our biggest one of the biggest things that we're seeing so far in some of these initiatives is what kind of time can it give back to our staff? And it doesn't matter where that staff, resides, whether they're here at the administrative offices like I am, or they're in a school building, in the front office, or they're a teacher in the classroom or a principal in the building. Everybody has more than they have time to do. Everybody has more work than they have time to accomplish. And so, we're working on an AI assistant this morning that, we're anticipating could save teachers in the realm of 10 to 30 hours once a year. It's just a task that has to be done every year, but it's very easily something that can be automatable. But we've just never taken the time or had the technology that could automate the process behind it. And so, doing that is, those kind of things to just give somebody back 10 hours of their week or 30 hours of their 2 weeks, right as school's starting or school's getting out is when you typically do this process. Um, there's some other ones that we've automated and built out last year that just, there's a lot of regulation that goes into education as well that, to be brutally blunt, is like regulation for what sake? Like, that doesn't really seem like it helps anything. I've been doing this a long time and nobody's been able to justify it, but we still have to do it. And so, principals will have these jobs that they have to do every year. And it's simple pattern matching and coding text. And like AI is really good at that. And like the amount of time that principals have wasted on this for years, and being able to give them time back to actually do something like mentoring or coaching the teachers in their building, helping their teachers become better instructional leaders, eventually leads to that, that we call it return on instruction. Like, are the kids learning? Is what the kids, getting in the classroom, is it getting better? Is the quality of the instruction getting better? And it's really hard to quantify, with any sort of metrics. Big national tests don't really tell you that, but you can see it when you walk in. It's more of that kind of thing. You walk in and you can go, oh, okay, this is, we're seeing change in these locations because of some of these initiatives that are coming out of, process automation or artificial intelligence or those kind of things.
I love it. I can think of, yeah, many, many applications that will save time for instructors and administrators in the educational setting.
Mhm.
So I'm glad to hear that you're on top of that.